Hello, I'm Elaine Smith, the Artistic Director of the Clamour Theater Company. We're holding these creative conversations with playwrights, with actors, with directors, so that you can find out more about Clamour Theater and about the artists who work with us.
Welcome to this edition of a Clamour Creative Conversation. Today, we're talking with Jan Buttram, whose play ZONA, the Ghost of Greenbrier was the very first, and because of COVID, so far the only full production of Clamour Theater Company. We did it in October of 2019, and we read Jan's play Rapids earlier that same year, back when we could still do live in-person readings. Remember them? I should also mention that Jan and I have known each other a long time. She's the founder and previous artistic director of Abingdon Theater Company in New York City, and she brings the breadth and depth of her experience to our advisory board here at Clamour. So it's great to be speaking with her today. Welcome, Jan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so please tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself, your bio, background, whatever you would like us to know.
I was born in Northeast Texas in a small community called Oak Grove, which was actually 5 miles outside of the town, which was DeKalb, which was actually 35 miles outside of the town of any size, which was Texarkana. So you know Texarkana from many songs way down in the cotton fields in Texarkana, and you know it's pretty well-known city, but that's the only thing that is well known about my part of the country where I was born. And I came to New York in 1970 after going to New Orleans and auditioning for the New Orleans Repertory Company, which was led by June Havoc at that time. She was one of the first women to be nominated as director for a Tony Award for her play Marathon 33. And I knew her because we all knew the musical Gypsy, and I knew that she was Baby June, but also I had done a lot of theater research, just history research at North Texas State, where I went to school. And so I knew who she was. And I certainly knew they were going to pay you to act, which I thought was pretty amazing. So I went down, stayed with my brother Joe, auditioned for the company, and I was hired as a journeyman. I got my equity card right off the bat. And the rest is kind of history. I was a professional actress until probably 86, 87. That's the 1987. And then I was always interested in writing plays because one of the great hallmarks of growing up in Northeast Texas, you hear a lot of stories about the biggest fish I ever caught, or the ghost that lives in our front yard, or, you know, any number of a murder that was unsolved, you know. So there were so many stories, and truly one of the big entertainment features was an old country store where people used to sit around a pot-bellied stove and tell stories. It was the equivalent of television. But television has slightly replaced that now. I don't know that people sit around telling stories so much unless they do it at a dinner table or something like that. Maybe at picnics where you can't get to, but even then you have cell phones, you know, so people can always go to their cell phones and look at it and say, oh, did you hear about that? Well, that's what we did. We told stories. And so then I really had a great time acting. I was hired, you know, a few times. And even getting hired one time is amazing as a professional actress, but I managed to get a national tour. And when I was out on the road, I realized that I was not the actress that liked repeating a performance. I loved the rehearsal. I loved getting the role. I loved that excitement. When it came to long runs, it was something that I really didn't feel I'd get kind of down and blue about it. I'm going to have to do this play again. It's really a talent, you know, to juice yourself up for the same role every night. I really admire people who can do that. But I, however, decided that I was going to start writing plays out on the road. And I had a lot of time because, you know, there's on the road, there's not much to do except a show at night and to prepare for that. So I started making notes. And when I came back to New York City, there was a small group of people that were coming together. It was sort of a homeless theater company. We had no space or anything, but we had a really good time. And I began writing short plays that evolved into longer plays. And here I am now, 30 years later, as the last artistic director for Abingdon Theater Company that really concentrated on new plays. So I was very interested when Elaine began a theater company, once again, that sort of concentrates, well, totally, right, Elaine?
Yeah, so far we're a little handicapped by our lack of space, but at the moment that is certainly where our focus is.
But their focus is new American plays, which I love the classics. You know, I think the classics are terrific. And I know that, you know, we draw from all of the classics as playwrights and novelists. We're constantly reaching back to all of those guys, you know, that started writing plays first. But I really love the energy that comes from a new script. So, and actors discovering a new script for the first time and putting their imprint on characters. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I've been in New York for a long time. I've had many different hats on, but I love theater. I love doing anything that has anything to do with theater. And I think that, you know, serving the community of theater is a really high calling. It's a real gift when you have someone who has the energy to pull a family of theater makers together. And I think that's probably, you know, the greatest gift of all is having someone that's going to be a producer. Producers are very hard to come by.
That is true, and you and I both know why. So good.
Well, you have to wear all the hats. You have to deal with actors. You have to deal with playwrights. You have to deal with a wonderful board. That's a board of directors. You have to deal with agents. I mean, you have to put on so many different hats that it's really, you have to deal with set designers, you know, and costume designers, and you have to be a mediator, you know, when two people don't quite agree and you're the third vote usually. So you have to come in and sort of soothe the waters many times.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of it. It was great fun. Elaine directed for me early on. Yeah. And I think about the play quite often by Bill Schumann. It would be terrific to do another reading of that someday as just to look back. You know? It was about a playwright, you know, and one of our best productions in a lot of ways, you know, because it was really about the creative process and mentoring a young playwright. So there was much to do, and Elaine did an excellent job directing.
Oh, well, thank you. It was a great challenge and a wonderful experience. I really was grateful for the opportunity. So let's talk a little bit about ZONA. We had such a good time with that production. And so just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, ZONA first came to me as a commission from Greenbrier Valley Theater, and it was written with like 35 people. But I fell in love with the story because I went to Lewisburg, West Virginia, and researched it. And even went up to the small little church where ZONA was a member. It was a Methodist church. And they actually gave me the imprint where she had tithed 25 cents a month. Isn't that the sweetest? And so I truly, I saw the house where she was murdered and everything, you know, and talked to all the people who were still living that knew anything about that incident, which was at the turn of the 19th century, correct?
Yeah.
And I always sort of get 19th, 20th, where are we? But gosh, we're the 21st century, right? Unbelievable. And so Zona is also about spousal abuse, which we still deal with now. And at that time, there were no people that would actually want to talk to you about if you were unhappy in a marriage and you pretty much had to just run. Well, she didn't run quick enough and she really got murdered. So it's the story of about a spirit coming back, whether you believe in ghosts or not. You know, the mother, her mother really has a vision. And I believed in that because I lost a brother early on in his life. And my father talked about having a vision of his son coming back and talking to him. And so I believed that that could happen. Whether it was psychological or whether it was a spiritual manifestation, who knows? But the logic of the play is that the ghost of Zona comes back and speaks to the mother. And she then reopens everything because they bury her very quickly. She has the body exhumed, she has a autopsy, and sure enough, you know, they found that her neck was broken and that there were scars around her neck. And so they actually try the husband and he's convicted and put into prison. So it's a sad but happy ending.
So now, you know, and it has all that wonderful music, the Appalachian folk music. And
I thought that was one of my really great ideas, was to bring in music from the time. I mean, I started off when I was in college. I actually was in a folk singing group and played the guitar and sang. And I actually did a few gigs in New York City, but my emphasis went elsewhere. And it was hard carrying around all that equipment.
Yeah.
It's a lot of equipment.
It is a lot of equipment.
Solo artist. And so I used songs of the time and Pretty Polly and oh my goodness, I can't pull them on. Silver Dagger.
Silver Dagger, yeah.
Just tremendous songs. And also, because I was raised a Methodist, there's the great Methodist hymnal, which has many, many very old and wonderful songs. And then we pulled in someone, my friend, you know, that's the other thing, always reach out, see who you know, who knows what. My friend Phil Cunningham came in and arranged many of those songs and really wrote out cheat sheets. Wildwood Flower, we used all of them. And they really they set us in such a specific time and place. Music is such a wonderful thing to ground you in wherever you are as a playwright. And I'm always very impressed because I've read a lot of plays for the playwrights who really can specify what music they hear under anything in their play are you know, because I'm thinking, oh, they really have researched and they really know the sound of that time. So I think it's really a good thing also when you're writing to have a soundscape in your heart and your mind, you know, because that will help you set the place.
Yeah, it was quite a I mean, it was sort of an insane piece to pick for our first production because 9 singing actors and guitar playing and all of that. But I'm really glad we did because I feel like we pulled it off, and I feel like that makes me feel like we could do anything, you know.
Well, yes, you can. I mean, it's really just one step at a time.
Yeah.
But you have to start early, you know, and you did, Elaine. And that's one of the great things about Elaine being in the position that she is now. It's a methodical process of putting things together to get a production on finally. But the earlier you begin, then you don't run it. Then the accidents and the mishaps happen, but at least you've gotten it. And there's always a plan B. There's always a plan B, you know, when you come along. But preparation is everything.
No, that is true. That is true. So now talk a bit. We also read your play Rapids earlier in 2019. So tell us a little bit about Rapids and where it stands now.
I adore this play. It's sitting right in my computer right now. I'm going to try to put some movement on it. I've started writing screenplays a bit. And so because I'm a Gemini, you know, I didn't have a lot of projects going on at one time. I have a documentary that I've been working on for the past year, and I've just seen a first cut of that. My great friend Sam Edelman actually edited it for me. So maybe we can do a showing for a benefit at Clamour Theater Company. It's a great act of love on my part, but and Sam's part and everybody's part right now, because the grant I applied for I didn't get. Ha! Those bums. But yeah. It's just the way of the world. You know, you apply to many, many different places, and most of the answers are no, but you just have to get back up and figure out another way. But I have been working on a lot of different things, but I just yesterday remembered an artistic director, a couple of artistic directors that I've known. That's the great thing about longevity in the business. You get to know a lot of people, and I'm going to start sending it out again. I love this play. It's a 4-character play, very little set, a lot of humor. It is a sad kind of ending, but we're reading more and more these days about people taking great adventures and falling off cliffs and things like that. And so it's about a human quality of wanting to try something that's never been done, or be someplace that you've never been, or try a feat that's almost impossible. There was a kid the other day that tried to do a backflip off a stage of some rock concert, and the kid died. But that's kind of the story of Glenn and Bessie Hyde. They decided they're going for their honeymoon to go down the Colorado River. Now, this was in 1928, when there was no dams. I mean, the dam was just being built. They called it the Hoover Dam at that time. And that was going to stop the water flow. So Glenn wanted to do it before the water flow was halted down the Grand Canyon. And the way climate change is going, it's probably just a trickle, but this is a wide wilderness, you know, that's this, if you've ever been to the Grand Canyon, you know, it's a crater right down the middle of the Grand Canyon that they were going down. And unfortunately, Bessie couldn't swim. So this is about 2 lovers really understanding that they've put themselves in dire risks. And the family that they left behind, the father and the sister, who are mourning that they can't get in touch with them, and who refuse to believe that anything bad has really happened. They really think that they're somewhere along the side of the bank. So they go looking for them. And everybody's in peril then. And of course, you have to read the play before you find out the ending. But it's a wonderful piece. They did a terrific reading at Clamour Theater Company. The actors were fantastic. The audience was wonderful. They really turned to me afterwards and said, "Could you change the ending?" It was very sweet. And I said, well, you know, only the good. Well, here I'm going to throw.
Yeah, don't give it away. So what are you currently working on?
So right now I'm working on play a 2-hander that is about a 107-year-old woman and a young man who's in his 20s that are the only 2 survivors of a horrific explosion. And I'm narrowing down, as I'm working on the script, I'm sort of narrowing down, are they in a nursing home? Are they in a hospital? The audience doesn't need to know, but I need to know it, you know, because of the main character's reaction. So this young man has decided, for whatever reason, to save this old woman. And so it sort of is a touch of Scheherazade, where the young princess actually tells stories to the king to be able to keep her head. And that's once again looking at a classic story. And what she does is the old woman keeps spinning tales, you know, to try to keep the young man interested, to stay with her. And she has a lot of stories, because when you're 107 years old, you've seen a lot happen. Yeah. So, and now I keep looking at it and I keep thinking, well, did she drink? Did she drink spirits? Who was she? You know, and I keep coloring and trying to find the humor in this old lady, because a lot of the older people that I knew who have passed on were very funny. And that's something I discovered the other day, is that, you know, they were very, very funny. They've had very humorous takes on things, and very, very, you know, a lot of wit. And I thought, I've left out the wit. The title of it is Don't Panic. And what she's trying to do is stay in a positive mood, which most of us, you know, need to do these days. You know, and she's singing, she's telling tales. You know, once again, I go back to the Methodist hymnal because I love it so much. And it gives her a chance to, you know, while away the time. If I don't know, you know, if you've ever had a sort of rather sad experience of sitting with anyone by their bedside, but most of it is sort of, you know, saying, let your mind go, let your mind go. Don't try to concentrate on what's happening right now. Just go away to a different place. And that's where this play began, is her talent of going away to a place in her head that she loved. But many times we go to a place that we think we love and we find unhappy thoughts there. So she has to turn herself around many times. Mm-hmm. And he is sucking up the stories. And what I'm really interested in is the relationship between younger people and 107-year-old people. You know, so what do they resent? I know sometimes I talked to a young man on the elevator one day, and I said, oh, you're getting ready to vote in the presidential election? And he said, no, it's just a couple of old men. And I thought, interesting. So I really want to concentrate on how can we connect with a younger generation, and what is their resentment against us? And I was a baby boomer, you know, and what do they hold, you know, what are we guilty of? And how can we mend that fence and keep it from turning into anger? There's a lot of things that are happening in New York now where younger people are just seeing an old person and just socking them, you know. Well, one, that's an easy target, but two, there's a lot of resentment there. You know, it's like, oh, you know, you don't deserve to live right now.
Well, that sounds really interesting, and I'm going to look forward to reading it when you get it to that point. So,
yay! So, see, that's the great thing about Elaine and having Clamour Theater Company, is in the back of my mind, I think I'm going to send that to Elaine, but I'm going to send it to the artistic director, executive producing artistic director. But it gives you an incentive.
Yeah.
If you know there's a place to send something that really is so helpful as a playwright.
Well, and I feel like, you know, we've now had done a number of readings with a number of playwrights, and I hope they all feel like they can reach out and say, you know, I mean, not that I may be able to read it like instantly, but, you know,
patience.
But I'm happy to see things from everybody we've worked with. Otherwise, we wouldn't have worked with them in the first place, you know. So
I'll tell you one quick story, and you can use this or not, but there's a playwright that lives in my housing complex at Manhattan Plaza in Manhattan. She hated me for years. I mean, hated me, would not speak to me, was awful, because she was a young playwright. And she finally the other day apologized to me. She said, I was so mad at you for so long, and I don't know why. And I said, well, I know why, because we didn't do a reading of your play. But, you know, it passes, you know, so never close the door, always be positive, and know that there's a lot of scripts out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, do you have a favorite play of your own, whether it's been produced or unproduced?
Oh, well, right now, Rapids is my favorite play. I just think it's an excellent story, and it's, you know, you're always, the favorite one is the one that you're working on, but I love Rapids. I just think it has so much to say about the family unit and loss and beauty in memories and beauty in love, and that our loved ones really never leave us. Yeah. They're right there hovering right over our shoulder.
Okay.
So Rapids.
Okay, great. And now this is one of my favorite questions. Can you tell me about 3 plays by other playwrights that you might have seen or read and what you love about them?
Well, the first play I saw was Waiting for Godot when I was in college. And I still love that play. I've seen maybe 10 productions of it. And probably Tennessee Williams, any of his major works, and I even love his minor works too. Some would say minor. I say they're by Tennessee Williams. They can't be minor. And then Arthur Miller. I've always loved Death of a Salesman. I've seen maybe, 10 productions of that over the years. And so those are 3 classics. In terms of modern plays, those are modern plays, actually, contemporary, let's say contemporary plays. I like pretty much everything I see. There's only been a couple that I haven't really liked, but I like all theater. I think it's just good. It's great. Even when you don't quite follow the script, but there's so many, Sarah Rule, there's so many wonderful playwrights now, and so many wonderful, I should have been more prepared for this question, Elaine.
That's okay. No, this is good. That's good information. So great. So for our viewers, if you'd like to know more about Jan Buttram, you can visit her website, janbuttram.com. And if you'd like more information about Clamour Theater Company and our events, please visit our website, which is also the place to go for all kinds of information about how you can donate and all that, clamourtheater.org. And you can find us on Facebook as Clamour Theater Company. We will post all of those URLs in the description below. And if you'd like to see more interviews like this one, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. Jan, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for getting me up early in the morning.
and thank you so much for letting us do your wonderful play, Zona. We are so grateful for everything you've done to help us. It was my
absolute pleasure, and I support everything you do. If there's any way I can help in any way, just give me a ring.
Oh, thank you. We
and
will.
Congratulations to your board of directors. That's really the most important job after yours is a strong board. So kudos to them.
Yes, absolutely. So thanks to all of you, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.